Entergy is proud to support programming on LPB and greener practices that preserve Louisiana.
The goal of our environmental and sustainability initiatives really is to ensure that our kids and future generations can be left with a cleaner planet.
Additional support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum located in Jennings City Hall. The museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is an historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. And the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, with support from viewers like you.
I'm imploring every resident in the state of Louisiana to understand that you have a role to play.
The governor warns of the rapid spread of the coronavirus.
It will decrease that exposure in those offices to other patients as well as to our emergency rooms.
Drive-through testing getting results and stopping the spread.
The biggest mistake the government made was denial.
What we can learn from the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic.
COVID-19 is affecting everybody, obviously.
The rally to save struggling local businesses.
Hi, everyone. I'm Natasha Williams.
And I'm Andre Morrow. More on those top stories and the latest coronavirus updates in a moment. But first, news today about income tax filing. It was scheduled for April 15th, now moved to July 15th because of coronavirus concerns.
Our broadcast may look a bit different as we practice social distancing. It's very important to put distance between yourself and others.
Yeah, I'm going to show you a video clip from the CDC's Twitter page recommending 6 feet at least. And it also has these tips about things we can each do to help slow the spread of COVID-19. And now we'll look at some of the other headlines. For now, life as we know it has changed. Many businesses across the state closing their doors to help reduce the spread of the coronavirus. That order from Governor John Bel Edwards. Gyms, bars, casinos, movie theaters among those. Restaurants are adjusting their business, and we'll have more on that in a moment. These restrictions in place until at least April 13th. Schools closed at least until April 13th. The governor announced small businesses in all 64 parishes will have access to federal SBA loans available to those businesses hit hard as a result of the coronavirus. Republican Congressman Steve Scalise is now in self-quarantine after an extended meeting with Mario Diaz-Balart, a Florida congressman who tested positive for COVID-19 Wednesday. In a statement, Scalise says he's not experiencing any symptoms, but is isolating himself out of an abundance of caution. The cancellation or postponement of any public event is now understood, and that includes Jazz Fest in New Orleans. It was set to begin April 23rd, but is now postponed until sometime in the fall. 400,000 people annually attend this premier event of music, food, and culture at the fairgrounds in the Crescent City. A Baton Rouge preacher defied the governor's social distancing and crowd control orders, saying the coronavirus is politically motivated. The Reverend Tony Spell continued to hold services with hundreds of people, more than 300 at his Sunday service. Spell claims his services cure cancer and HIV and says no dictator or law should keep people from worshiping God. Police have told Spell if he tried it again, the National Guard would shut him down. Shreveport's Mount Canaan Baptist Church is finding a creative way to stay within COVID-19 social distancing guidelines. Pastor Greg Oliver announced on Instagram that their services would be park and pray. At a weekly prayer meeting, dozens of members prayed from their cars for people affected by the outbreak of the disease. The fear of coronavirus is causing a major hit to the U.S. blood supply. Vitalant and other blood centers across the country are struggling to maintain inventories and avoid a critical shortage. The American Red Cross says they're now facing a severe blood shortage. They are asking people to donate. Of course, we know many hundreds of people in Louisiana have tested positive for the coronavirus, including 2 we learned about publicly yesterday. They made their illness public.
Saints head coach Sean Payton and Department of Transportation Chief Sean Wilson Peyton is 56, Wilson is 50. Both say they started feeling bad last weekend and learned of their test results yesterday. Both are in their respective homes and feeling better, they say.
The number of positive coronavirus cases in Louisiana per capita is among the highest in the nation, and Governor John Bel Edwards is worried.
Enough so that he says they are on pace to match disease levels that have overwhelmed Italy. Because of that, he's trying to ramp up emergency measures.
We were able to determine that under basically what is a worst case scenario, the coronavirus spread and its impact could begin to outpace our healthcare capacity in a certain region, down in the Orleans-Jefferson region, within about 7 to 10 days without additional support from the federal government. Again, this is a worst case scenario, and we are continuing to run different models, and we're engaging all of the experts that we have here in Louisiana, and we're asking for experts outside of our state to take a look at it too, to make sure that we have the best estimate of what we should expect and prepare for. Obviously, we have an urgent need to increase our medical capacity because that's the only part of the equation that we are somewhat in control of. Mitigation is absolutely key. And I am again I'm imploring every resident of the state of Louisiana to understand that you have a role to play. Whether or not you're in a high-risk category, every person is capable of contracting and spreading this infection. So we need everyone to adhere to the precautions that we have put out. Everything from the closures to limitation of crowd sizing, following the social distancing, washing your hands, controlling your cough, all of that and much more is incredibly important. If you just look at the increase in cases day to day, the percentage of new cases, and how long it takes to double the number of cases. And this is early, but our trajectory is basically the same as what they had in Italy. And if there's anything that I've said today that ought to get people's attention, it is that.
The lack of testing continues to be one of the problems of the federal response to the coronavirus pandemic. In Metro Baton Rouge, for example, major healthcare providers, though, and hospitals took action to begin drive-through testing, their own initiative, but it also met some problems. I went to the Baton Rouge General Medical Center test site in Mid-City Baton Rouge.
The purpose of this drive-through testing is to keep our emergency rooms available for our sick patients throughout the system and to also alleviate some of the pressures on the doctor's offices, our physician office practices, and that sort of thing. So this makes it a lot easier for them to have a drive-through.
Of course, it reduces any exposure of going into an office for healthcare workers, for patients.
That is correct. It will decrease that exposure in those offices to other patients as well as to our emergency rooms. The patients have been asked to contact their physician and get an order. We have a drive-through line. We check to see and make sure that they have an order. If they do, then they proceed through the line, come through. We check the order from the physician's office. We make them leave their windows up and show us their driver's license so that we have an accurate identification of that patient based upon the order that's come through by the physician.
So far this is all with windows closed in a drive-through style.
That is correct. Okay. Determining whether or not they have the order, then they will pull through and go through a drive-through covered tent where our enhanced isolation staff are standing there to do their swab. And then we give them instructions on what they need to do afterwards and stay at their house until they know whether or not their test is positive or negative.
How many tests do you have? Where are you getting them from? And if you run out, how quickly can you get them back?
We had 200 tests today from our vendor, and they were hospital-based tests that we happened to have. And after 200, we are out, and we are waiting for our suppliers and vendors to provide more to us. All the hospitals in the area are waiting.
This test that you're receiving, this particular test, how long is the result of this test?
The results of the test take 4 to 5 days, and we're asking that patient that has been tested to stay at home until they hear the results.
With the results, what all do they have to do to make sure there aren't false positives or false negatives, whatever? What is done though in that process of 4 days, which seems like a long time to me?
It is a long time because we would certainly like to get it overnight. We'd like to get it in the next hour, that result. But at that time, they stay at their home, they stay away from public gatherings, they stay away from the grocery store, they keep themselves in their home.
What we're seeing today, this is going to be an ongoing situation, I would believe?
As long as we can get the test to take care of the community, we will continue this. Each hospital is taking a day. The Lake had yesterday with the support of the Baton Rouge General, Women's Hospital, the Lake. It's been a concerted effort by the entire community to make this successful to help our patients.
And the main thing is that the testing is done, which we're maybe late to the party on, but it's something that you guys are doing, thankfully, now, and that's what you have to do first, right?
That's correct. That's correct. But it happens to be in this parish, in East Baton Rouge Parish, Lake, Woman's, Auctioner, the General, we're all working together. It happens to be on the Baton Rouge General site because it was a convenient location for all, but we're all working together as a team, and it's wonderful to see everybody working together as a team.
This question about the test kits, if you guys can only get a certain amount from your vendor, is the federal government, state government, any other government agency stepping in to increase those amounts?
MOSHEP is working very hard in this area, or well, throughout the country, to provide those kits to us. And so are our vendors. The vendors are working also. It takes a lot. It takes an army to take care of this.
Yeah, and it does, and
it takes a team.
And will, right?
That's correct, sir.
The drive-through testing there had to shut down Wednesday because they did run out of test kits. They resumed yesterday. They will be open only on a day-to-day basis as long as the testing supplies last.
As the coronavirus spreads, many small business owners are adjusting the way they work. They're responding to the drop in revenue as customers stay home, cut back, and demand that companies help protect them from the virus that has sickened thousands and killed hundreds, including several here in Louisiana. We talked to a local business owner and learned what city leaders are doing to help small businesses during these scary times.
Todd Graves of the Raising Cane's franchise knows a thing or two about a good business plan, but he, like thousands of other businesses in the state, have had to totally change the way they operate since the coronavirus outbreak happened. He says fortunately for him, past Louisiana experiences prepared him.
Preparation started with this when for us, when the virus happened, started in China. Our company is well seasoned for crisis and these types of disasters, even though this pandemic is something that we've never seen. We are prepared, and what really prepared us as a company was Hurricane Katrina.
He says businesses, particularly restaurants, rely on high volume to stay profitable, and with everyone changing their habits, eating out and otherwise, businesses can get in trouble pretty quickly, and he says that starts a trickle-down effect.
I'm applying that same type of spirit towards the coronavirus, preparing for the worst and hoping for the best, and we've been doing that for a while.
Graves is hoping Louisianans stick together and support local businesses.
Social distancing, so restaurants have gone to no dine-in. It's either drive-through, takeout, and delivery. And I encourage you not just to think of us drive-through businesses, think of the small businesses, independents that don't have that drive-through in our state. Their sales are down, some of them up to 90%. And without having that cash flow coming in, like I said, you can't pay your employees. Small business is the backbone of our economy, and restaurants are a huge part of that.
As I often say, Baton Rouge is open for business.
Baton Rouge Mayor Sharon Weston Broom also sounding the alarm about staying aware and the importance of helping our neighbors and local businesses through these tough times.
Small businesses, especially our local restaurants, bars, caterers, gyms, and movie theaters, employ 32,000 303 employees in the Baton Rouge metropolitan area. The business sector shapes our local economy and our way of life here in Baton Rouge. These businesses contribute to the diversity and uniqueness that is present in our local economy.
The mayor is also taking extra steps to help local businesses weather the crisis.
I signed an executive order that will extend the time for filing East Baton Rouge Parish local sales tax returns for 30 days. We are hopeful that this order will provide a brief respite to the businesses in our community that will be affected by COVID-19.
The mayor says city services will not be affected as a result of the 30-day tax extension for area businesses.
Rampant lies, fake cures, and not enough beds. Those are words historians use to describe the world's worst pandemic on record, the Spanish flu. It lasted from 1918 to 1919. As we grapple with the current coronavirus pandemic, what can we learn from the past? A man at the forefront in times of crisis, General Russel Honoré, says we can learn a lot. General Honoré, it is always great to talk to you. Incredibly difficult times that we're experiencing. And I want to start with first showing that we're practicing social distancing right here in this interview, which is very important. I want to ask you about the 1918 Spanish flu and what that pandemic can teach us about this pandemic.
Well, I think the biggest mistake the government made was denial. In 1918, we were on the eve of World War I. A matter of fact, the President of the United States at the time published an order prohibiting the media to even talk about the Spanish flu. And we brought soldiers to Fort Riley, Kansas that had been infected with the flu,
right.
Trained them, shipped them to the coast, put them on ships, and some of those soldiers died en route to World War I. And wherever they went in Europe,
it spread.
It spread and killed millions of people around the world.
There were different cities in the U.S. that had some different strategies. Philadelphia chose to continue with activities, had a parade. It was almost business as usual.
Right.
Huge death rates and illness rates in Philadelphia.
Absolutely.
St. Louis, opposite. They called off everything, canceled everything, closed bars, clubs, any event, kept people inside, and their results were very, very different. That brings us to today. You have said that we are in a war with an invisible enemy with this coronavirus pandemic.
For all the observations we might have of what we could have done, should have done a month ago, 2 weeks ago, I think for us to get out of this issue dealing with this pandemic, we're going to have to drive this bus, if I may use that metaphor, looking to the future, not looking through the rearview mirror. But we can learn, just like the observations you had about dealing with the pandemic in 1918. We need to apply those lessons, but we need to optimize current day technology. We can get a lot of things done if we work as a team, if we follow the instructions, if we practice staying home, protect our elderly people, help our neighbors, stay informed, and practice good hygiene that's recommended by the public health people.
How can the military presence and the tools that they have at their disposal become a huge help in this?
Well, you know, our military is designed to go and blow stuff up. But as we saw during Katrina, we can save lives too. The application of that during the pandemic is that we can help with logistics. We can help with medics that can do some of the tasks like taking the samples from people. And we have a capacity with the Corps engineers to contract and supervise construction of adjusting existing buildings. But I think our governor's going to have to continue to be entrepreneurial. with this $80 billion that's coming in, a $40 billion under Stafford Act, they will think of things like taking and contracting with hotels to keep people. Our hotels are empty.
Businesses are empty.
Businesses are empty.
Closed.
So why would we have a bunch of soldiers set a tent up in the parking lot when we got restaurants that can feed people? We just have to follow the standards.
Right, right.
We got empty hotels. So we don't want to think and act like we did in 1918 because we really had to put tents up. We didn't have the infrastructure we have now.
And that can help put some of these people who are out of work now back to work.
Absolutely.
Our thanks to General Honoré. We will hear more from you as we move through this.
Last week we heard from LPB's Director of Underwriting, Gene Smith, on vacation in Italy, struggling to get home. The good news is she made it back.
Made it back, has since been in self-quarantine. She sent us this video describing some surprises once she landed on American soil.
We are currently home in Baton Rouge. We are currently healthy, and we are currently in the 6th day of our self-quarantine. More shocking than self-quarantine was the reception we received when we returned to the States through Atlanta last Saturday. The CDC and the Atlanta Police Department did board the plane before we were allowed to start getting off. They gave us a one-page questionnaire that had 3 questions that all dealt with travel to China. That in itself was shocking, but then once we were allowed to get off the plane in groups of about 30, when we got to the end of the jetway, there were more CDC workers, one of whom had a scanning thermometer. He made no motion or move to take our temperatures. We were allowed to walk right by him. We collected the handouts I mentioned, and then we proceeded on to immigration and security. And that was the extent of the screening that we received.
Interesting stuff there. Gene, we thank you. Stay well.
In other news from around the state, new research in genetic mutations, which are common in Cajuns, has led to a new and promising treatment. Clinical trials of a drug late last year showed positive results for those with degenerative neuromuscular disorder. The drug could be approved by the FDA soon. We took a trip to Raceland to continue the series on genetic disorders in Louisiana.
When Gracie Boudreau was 9 years old, she was diagnosed with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, a thickening of her heart muscle. At age 11, she began to notice problems with her balance while at elementary school.
When I was in 5th grade, my classroom was upstairs, and I needed to hold on to the handrail at all times.
After several doctor visits, it was discovered through a blood test that Gracie had Friedreich's ataxia, a rare neuromuscular disease that mainly affects the nervous system and heart.
My energy is low, and it deteriorates my nervous system, so I'm very unbalanced, and it also causes the heart disease to get progressively worse, so it can cause early death.
The Friedreich's ataxia is a disease where cells are not making enough energy. So those tissues that are dependent on a high energy content like muscles and nerves and hearing and eyes, the sensory cells start to degenerate.
Dr. John Doucet is Dean of Science and Technology at Nicholls State University and a professor of human and environmental genetics. He says that Gracie's condition is due to a mutation of one of 20 to 25,000 genes in her body. A gene is a sequence of instruction in a person's DNA that determines inherited traits. Every person has 2 copies of each gene, one inherited from each parent.
When some of that DNA is mutated, of course, genetics focuses on the mutation to try to identify it, to try to ameliorate it, and to try to help improve the health of individuals that might have that mutation.
Making that task somewhat easier is the fact that Friedreich's ataxia, or FA, is more prevalent among Cajuns. Cajuns are an example of what geneticists call a founder population, individuals separated from a larger group now sharing a smaller gene pool. Generations of intermarriage among Acadian descendants has caused FA and other genetic conditions to be more prevalent within their community. For researchers trying to trace gene changes, this is significant.
Now we know that all these individuals are related, so they must, or chances are they have the same mutation, and we can identify it. With that power, we can also identify where on each long piece of DNA called a chromosome that mutation exists.
In the 1990s, mutations in the frutaxin gene were identified as the underlying cause of FA, which opened the door to developing treatments. Just last year, clinical trials of a new drug demonstrated significant improvement in neurological function in FA patients.
It's called omavaloxolone. It limits the progression of FA.
The drug is going through the FDA approval process, and Gracie hopes it will be distributed soon. Currently a senior at South Lafourche High School, Gracie continues to be proactive in her health care and planning for her future.
I stay positive through exercise. Exercise is known to slow the progression down. It gives me hope that whenever treatment does come, I'm still gonna have some mobility and some strength.
She's planning on going to college. That's going to be her next challenge in life, going off on her own and seeing how college life is and to become independent.
Now, this segment is a part of an outreach grant supporting the upcoming PBS series with Ken Burns presents The Gene, an Intimate History.
This Monday, March 23rd, Governor John Bel Edwards will be joined by health experts and members of his administration for a live statewide discussion on Louisiana's response to COVID-19.
It will air from 7 to 8 on television and radio stations across the state and on digital and multiple platforms. Now, the program will be produced and broadcast right here in the studios of Louisiana Public Broadcasting in Baton Rouge.
You know, being hopeful in these days of dire news is difficult, but LSU football coach Ed Orgeron became a source of hope this week.
He is the face and the voice of several public service announcements about the fight against the coronavirus. And at Governor's News Conference this week, he spoke about what it takes to get through this.
His words got the attention of USA Today and an editorial which said Coach O is what we need, that he lifts us and inspires us.
I do believe that we have a winning plan. I do believe in the state of Louisiana. Hey, it's going to get tough the next 2 weeks. Come on. We tough. Bring it on. Let's just follow the plan, do the thing that we're supposed to do, and I guarantee you we will win.
Coach O, we thank you. That's our show, everyone, for this week. Remember, you can watch anything LPB anytime, wherever you are, with our brand new app.
Download it for free from your app store. You'll find continuous coronavirus updates on our app and online at lpb.org.
For all of us at Louisiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Andre Morrow.
And I'm Natasha Williams. Thanks for watching.
Until next time, that's the state we're in.
Entergy is proud to support programming on LPB and greener practices that preserve Louisiana.
The goal of our environmental and sustainability initiatives really is to ensure that our kids and future generations can be left with a cleaner planet.
Additional support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum located in Jennings City Hall. The museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is an historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. And the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, with support from viewers like you.